Hi, net 'n vraag. Praat ek Engels of praat ek Afrikaans?
Ons gesels sommer Engels en jy is op die lug. Ons is saam met ons luisteraars vandag. Ons wil net seker maak ons sluit almal in. So let's go through living through learning, getting to know organizations, and the whole thing is the founder of Living Through Learning. You are the founder. You ran an NGO called Education Alive for over 25 years, which was part of an international group. And then in 2010, you decided to go independent and change the name to Living Through Learning. There must have been something that was stirred within you to do that change. Can you share with us what it was?
Yes, I first just want to say good morning to everyone. Thank you for having me, Gilma, and I hope we have some fun.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
okay. Well, the biggest thing I think stirred me because it was an international group, and it's being an international group. One doesn't always have the same models that one uses in South Africa. So I felt the need that something that needs to be designed that is truly working for South Africa. And I felt there was a need to customize and create a program for our communities and for our learners, even though I sourced a lot of the stuff from people all over the world. But I came across a guy called Caleb Gatino that did many research cycles in Africa, and he came up with a fantastic program which I adapted to our base pedagogy and core methodology that we worked with. And it seemed to have done a fantastic job, and it is still doing a fantastic job. It's actually very, 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 very simple. And yeah, that was the need. And as far as the name is concerned, why I called it Living Through Learning. If you think about it, is if we learn and we become super literate, you're alive, and you live. So hence, that's the heart of living through learning.
That's a wonderful title. And I think that also express your heart for the cause. Now, you have over 35 years of experience and in education field, in literacy. What makes
Yeah.
your organization so successful? Because you managed to get going and to touch on the right space every time.
And yes, and we've survived through many, many ups and
Mm.
downs. And yes, there's a lot of literacy NGOs out there in the world. But experience taught us one thing, that literacy only works when it's practical, simple, culturally relevant, and built for real classrooms, on the ground. So Living Through Learning succeeds because we train teachers hands-on, we support them consistently, and our methods are designed for South African learners, not imported models. We see the gaps with what is out there, and we put like a little ladder, if you want to call it that, in between the gaps that they can gradually move on to the next level. And then we fix all the gaps that are necessary. And we stay with schools until results are changed, until the teachers know what to do, the learners know what to do. I need to mention here something very interesting quickly. Over the years, if you think with numeracy, 1 plus 1 will never become 3 or 2, or it'll be 2, but it'll never become 1 or 5 or 10. So, it's interesting that in numeracy, nothing really changed over the years. But with literacy, there's always a new kid on the block that knows better, or put something else in there to try and streamline it. But it's so basic. It's the same as math. 1 plus 1 is 2. But what happens is there's alterations and various vias that some people try to put in there to try and get the child to learn. If you know the phonetical sounds, A, B, C, D, or abacada, that is it. It's 1 plus 1 is 2. Abacada is abacada. Whether you put stripes on it or color in it or whatever you want to put in there to complicate it, it makes it complicated for our learners, and especially our communities that we work with, you know, the South African sort of like, what I want to call it, land that we things. So yeah, you know, I can talk about it for hours, you know, how the changes have happened over the years and how we have streamlined it, put in the basics. It's like, you know, if you ride a bicycle without a seat, you're going to have big problems, you know, you're not going to go far. So we kind of basically put the seat on the bicycle so that kids can have a fantastic, easy, and a genius ride.
That's very true. Now, you are currently running a few programs. What is it all about?
The various programs.
Yes. You have very
Yeah, we
interesting things going.
yeah. Well, first of all, I just wanted to say, you know, if we put the foundation there, it never changes. You see, this is the thing. But one needs to teach the teachers and the learners the changes. So what we do is we train educators in classroom management, effective discipline. And the interesting thing is there's a lot of so-called disciplinary problems with the children in the classrooms, but 20% of those discipline problems are really discipline. 80% are symptoms learners show because they don't know how to learn. And we show them, you know, what is needed. You know, there are 3 core areas needed for real comprehension, for real literacy, or for real understanding of any subject. So we also equip them to teach proper formation in writing and to help learners decode language successfully. It's very practical. It's hands-on training with facilitators in the classroom that helps the learners and the educator to ensure the changes happen in the classroom as we want them to happen, that they can really become literate and geniuses, really, because I think I said before on the radio, you know, we can create geniuses by simply doing things simple.
You collaborate with different organizations or institutions at certain times. How important is collaboration?
You know, partnership and collaboration it's everything. You know, real change in education happens when schools, NGOs, donors, communities all pull in the same direction. It's like pulling a wagon, and, you know, one guy wants to go backwards and the other one wants to go left, right, but we all have to pull the wagon in the same direction. And collaboration lets us reach more educators, support more learners, and scale impact in a way no one can do alone. We just can't do these things alone. The job is too big. You know, if you look at it, the statistics shows that 86% of learners in grade 3 cannot read with meaning. So why can we not all just pull together and pull that wagon so that we can get literate learners and children in this country? Asseblief.
It's very true. And you know, you're not equipping only children, but you're equipping the next generation. So
Exactly.
what is your planning for next year? Because you guys are already busy. It's next year's only a month away or 2 months away.
I know, don't mention it. It's chaotic. Yeah, yes, we're already working on our strategies for next year. And we already, through monitoring and evaluation, we've discovered, you know, every year we've discovered more and more reasons and see more gaps of what's happening with literacy. So we want to expand into more schools because literacy is really in a crisis everywhere. It's not just a pie in the sky. It really is, you know, if anybody out there, you know, listeners would like to come with us to come and see what happens, we would gladly show you. But we're also pushing for greater visibility to attract long-term donors and partners. So we're going to spend a lot of social media stuff and radio if we can, that sort of things to really, you know, make a stand out there of what's happening. And if we want to change literacy in this country, we need to trust, we need the trusts, you know, big trusts, corporates and individuals to step in. So it's kind of urgent. Our youth must become the economic building blocks of South Africa. And another thing that's creeping in is AI and automation. It's rising. So we need to equip our learners to be leaders and self-reliant, because they need to know how to look after themselves. As AI and automation starts taking over more and more and more, we have to be really proud of who we are and stand out there and say, I can start my own business. But you need to be literate. You need to know how to read and write and understand vocabulary and understand, have a vocabulary of about 30, 40,000 words, not just 2,000. It ain't going to cut it.
That's true, especially if you need to go onto all these different search engines and things. One needs to think out of the box sometimes to get the right answer. Now,
Absolutely.
before we say goodbye and ask you to leave a message to our listeners regarding the amazing work that you do, please share with us like at least one good news story. There are so many. Because it's the end of the year, people feel so despondent, and we want to leave them with something positive.
Well, what I want to say is, and then I'll give you a few stories, is like, every child who learns to read gets a future back. And I don't know if many people know, we just recently had an international literacy event at a school that had 1,700 learners. And we gave every single child a book. And what we found is that the principal told us that half of those kids never have seen a book of their own in their lives. It is so sad to know that this is happening. So we've given them the books. They were smiling from ear to ear. But learning to read that book gives them the future back. And literacy isn't charity. It's hope, it's power, it's dignity. So, we want to ask everybody to put the right tools in their hands, and to help us together, we can build a literate South Africa, even if it's one child or one classroom or one future at a time. Now, here's a success story from a child, from the educator. Obviously, the 6-year-old is not going to tell us exactly how they feel, but the educator knows what's going on. So his name is Ubaid, and Ubaid's progress started from the very first lesson to the most recent one. His books reflect clear growth. His letter formation, placement, and spacing have become consistently neater and eligible. His ability to identify sounds has strengthened alongside his academic skills, which would not have happened without LTL's intervention. Ubaid has also gained greater confidence in general and is participating with joy for the first time in his life.
Now that makes one smile.
It does. We have countless success stories and, things that happen with these children. And it's so heartwarming to see the changes that do happen.
And you guys are making a difference through living through learning. Sonja Botha, CEO, thank you so much for running with this initiative. And may God bless you guys with everything. And may He give you wisdom for the new year. And may more and more and more children be educated and really get a new grip on life. Thank you for everything.
It's a pleasure. And can I end off just by saying, if anyone wants to join us in changing 86% of our learners who can't read and write with meaning, then give us a call. Can I give my number?
Yes, do so.
Okay, it's 064 758 4263. 064 758 4263. And you can also check us out on our website, livingthroughlearning.org.za, or on LinkedIn or Instagram. And listeners, please, if you know anyone that is in corporate sector that would like to save some money on tax or budgets or whatever the case may be, please pass on the message. We'd appreciate it. And I want to thank you, Gilma, for having me on the show. And thank you for the listeners to us, listening to us and having us on the radio. May God guide us as we work together to give every child the gift of literacy and hope.
Amen to that. Have a wonderful Friday. Bye-bye.